My brother, my sister, awake at night, tears falling, feeling forgotten. This is no accident. Allah brought you here to tell you your silent pain is the seed of a rise no one can deny. Your hidden pain is Allah's sacred protection. You feel shattered, don't you? Like you're slowly breaking from the inside, and no one sees it. Not your family, not your friends, not even the people you care about most. You try to carry it well. You still smile. You still reply, I'm fine. You still show up, but deep inside you're tired. Not just tired in the body, but tired in your heart. Tired in your soul. Tired of pretending. Tired of holding yourself together in silence. There are nights you lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how much longer you can keep going like this. And still, you don't tell anyone because you know they won't understand. Or maybe because they're too used to you being strong. So instead of explaining your pain, you sit with it quietly, alone, in a room full of people still feeling unseen. And sometimes when it gets too heavy, you go into sujood. You whisper, Ya Allah, I don't even know what to say. Because even your du'as feel tired. Even your words feel broken. You try to ask Him for help, but all you can do is cry. Soft tears. Silent sobs. Pain you can't explain. And maybe you've thought, is Allah even hearing me? Why is He so quiet? Why is this pain still here after all my prayers? But my brother, my sister, I want you to know something tonight. You are not alone in this pain. You are not forgotten in this silence. And you are not being ignored by your Lord. Allah sees you exactly as you are. Not the version you show the world, but the real you. The version that cries behind closed doors. The version that is tired of being strong. The version that smiles in public but quietly breaks in private. He sees the nights you cried on your pillow, the moments you sat quietly, holding your chest because the pain was too heavy. He knows how many times you've said, Ya Allah, I'm trying, but I don't know how much longer I can do this. And He never turns away. Every tear that falls from your eye, He catches it. Every Ya Allah that leaves your lips in the dark, He records it. Even the pain you don't talk about, He understands it better than you do. You see, some wounds are too sacred to be shared with people. Some trials are too heavy for the world to carry. So Allah doesn't let others see it. He hides it. So only He can handle it. Not because you're being punished, not because you're forgotten, but because your healing is too special to be touched by anyone except your Creator. Sometimes Allah covers you in silence because that silence becomes the doorway to His closeness. He removes people from your pain so you can meet Him in the quiet. And I know it hurts. I know it feels lonely. I know it feels like no one understands what you're carrying. But maybe that's the point. Maybe Allah didn't want anyone else to understand. Maybe this season was designed to bring you face to face with the one who never left you. Because only Allah knows how your heart has survived this long. Only Allah knows how many times you've wanted to give up, but still woke up the next day and kept going. That strength didn't come from you, that came from Him. Even in the silence, even in the sadness, even when your life didn't change overnight, He was there strengthening you in ways you didn't even realize. So don't think your tears were wasted. Don't think your prayers were ignored. And don't think your pain is pointless. Allah is not just watching, He is preserving every moment. Your private heartbreaks are being written in a sacred book. Your unseen patience is being rewarded in ways the world cannot see yet. Your late night cries are echoing in the heavens louder than you can imagine, and you may not see it now. But soon, the same pain that once broke you will become the very thing that strengthens you. The same heartbreak that made you feel empty will become the reason your heart is filled with Allah's light. So keep going, even if it's slow, even if you cry along the way, even if you feel like no one notices, because your Lord does. And He is not done writing your story. He is not finished building your healing. And He is certainly not done turning your private pain into a public rise the world won't be able to deny. Hold on. Not because you're strong, but because Allah is holding you in ways you don't even see. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are simply being rebuilt in silence, in protection, in love. Because what He builds in private will never be destroyed by anything in public. Your breaking is Allah's rebuilding. You feel like something inside you has shattered, like the version of you that once stood with strength is now falling apart quietly, piece by piece. You wonder, why is this happening to me? Why does it keep hurting? Why do I keep losing parts of myself? My beloved brother, my precious sister, sometimes when we feel like we're being broken, we're actually being rebuilt. Not by the world, but by Allah. You see, not every fall is a failure, and not every wound is a punishment. Sometimes it's surgery, divine surgery, spiritual transformation happening beneath the pain, because who you were yesterday cannot walk into the place Allah's taking you tomorrow. So He allows the old parts of you to fall, not to hurt you, but to make space for something greater. You thought you were losing strength, but maybe you were losing the noise that covered your real strength. You thought you were losing people, but maybe you were losing the ones who could not walk with the version of you that Allah is creating. And I know it hurts when things fall apart. It hurts when plans collapse. It hurts when your heart gives more than it receives. But don't think that breaking is the end, because Allah never breaks a soul to leave it empty. He only breaks to rearrange what was never meant to stay. Look back at your life for a moment. How many times did something break only to bring you closer to Allah? How many times did you lose something and later realize it saved you? How many times did you fall only to rise again stronger? That's not coincidence. That's your Lord, quietly, kindly working behind every closed door, behind every silent breakdown, behind every heartbreak that left you in sujood saying, Ya Allah, I don't know who I'm becoming, but please, let it be someone you love. You're not being destroyed. You're being redefined. And there's a big difference. The person you were before the pain was strong, yes, but there were things inside you that could not survive the next chapter of your life. Maybe you were too trusting. Maybe you were too afraid. Maybe you were too tied to things that were blocking your light. So Allah, in His mercy, allowed your comfort to break so your soul could breathe, so your soul could stop pretending and finally return to Him, pure, honest, and real. You see, when Allah loves you, He doesn't always give you what you want. He gives you what builds you. And sometimes what builds you doesn't look like blessings at first. It looks like heartbreak, loneliness, silence, loss. But hidden inside that loss is a version of you you've never met, stronger, more sincere, more connected to Allah. Allah doesn't want you to perform. He wants you to transform. So when everything around you starts breaking, instead of asking, why me? Try whispering, what is Allah freeing me from? What is He building inside me that can only grow through this pain? Your soul was never meant to stay in comfort forever. Your soul is meant to evolve. And growth, real spiritual growth, doesn't happen in applause. It happens in quiet places, in empty rooms, in silent tears, in broken sujoods. That's where Allah does His greatest work. Not when you feel strong, but when you admit you can't do it alone anymore. When you finally say, Ya Allah, I surrender. Rebuild me however you want. And He will. Not all at once, but piece by piece. With every salah you pray, He heals a piece. With every tear you cry in dua, He strengthens a piece. With every test you pass, He adds wisdom. With every trial you survive, He adds light. Until one day, you look back at the same pain that once crushed you and say, I thought I was breaking, but now I see I was being rebuilt by the most merciful. And the version of you that rises from this will walk with peace. Not because life became easy, but because you finally learned that nothing in this world is more powerful than Allah's mercy rebuilding a broken heart. So hold on, my dear soul. Don't be afraid of the breaking. It's not the end. It's a new beginning, a sacred one. You are not falling apart. You are falling into place, exactly where Allah wants you. Let yourself break if that's what it takes for Allah to rebuild you stronger, softer, and nearer to Him. Because what He rebuilds with His hands, the world can never undo. Allah's silence is His gentle attention. You've been calling out to Allah again and again, quietly, desperately, sincerely, and still the reply you hoped for hasn't come. Not yet. You've cried in sujood. You've whispered, Ya Allah, help me. You've stayed awake long after the world has slept, just begging for a sign. But the only thing you hear is silence. And that silence, it hurts. Because you're not just waiting for an answer, you're waiting for peace. You're waiting for direction. You're waiting to feel like Allah is still there. And when things stay quiet for too long, you begin to wonder, have I been forgotten? Is my dua even reaching Him? Is He upset with me? Is He ignoring me? My dear brother, my beloved sister, let me pause here and whisper something to your heart. Allah's silence is not a sign of His distance. It's a sign of how gently He's working on you. You see, silence from people usually means neglect. But silence from Allah, it's something far more sacred. It means He's watching closely, lovingly, patiently. It means He's giving you time to grow, time to reflect, time to release what's not meant to follow you into your future. Because sometimes if He replied instantly, you wouldn't hear what your soul really needs. You'd only chase what your heart wants right now. Allah's silence teaches something that words never can. It teaches surrender. It teaches humility. It teaches trust. The kind of trust where even when you don't understand what's happening, you still say, Ya Allah, I know you are near. And He is closer than you've ever felt. Just because He hasn't answered yet doesn't mean He's not preparing the answer. Just because you feel alone doesn't mean He's not surrounding you with His mercy in unseen ways. Some of the most powerful stories in the Quran began in complete silence. Yusuf alayhi salam in the bottom of a dark well. No help, no voice, no miracle in sight. But Allah was already writing the rise, already building the escape, already planning the day that same Yusuf would rise in honor. The silence wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning. And maybe your silence is not the end either. Maybe it's the doorway to something far bigger than what you prayed for. Allah doesn't rush a masterpiece. He shapes it. He perfects it in layers. Sometimes through delay, sometimes through waiting, sometimes through silence. And it may be that you ask for something too small, but Allah is preparing something too big for words. So big, He first needs to empty your hands, empty your mind, empty your heart, so that when it comes, there is space for it. And that space is carved out in silence. The world teaches us to panic in silence, but Allah teaches us to pause in silence, to reflect, to soften, to come closer to Him without noise. You're learning right now what can't be learned in ease. You're learning what it means to have faith even when things don't make sense. You're learning to hold on to Allah, not because you feel Him, but because you trust Him. And that is a level of love this world cannot understand. That kind of love is not built in blessings. It's built in stillness, in darkness, in delay, in silence. And the more you walk through the silence, the more your heart will learn to depend on Him, not on outcomes, not on quick signs, not on feelings, but on truth. The truth that Allah is never absent, even when the world feels cold, even when your du'as seem to echo back unanswered, even when you feel like your chest is full of unspoken pain. Allah is there, not watching from a distance, not ignoring you, but surrounding you, guiding you, rewriting your future in ways you can't yet see. So don't think His silence means nothing is happening. Sometimes the greatest things Allah does for you are the ones you don't notice while they're happening. You'll only realize later that the delay saved you, that the silence matured you, that the weight softened your pride, that the unanswered dua was replaced with something even better, something your soul didn't know how to ask for. You wanted ease, Allah gave you depth. You wanted a sign, Allah gave you silence that taught you how to hear His signs everywhere. You wanted a path, Allah closed the door so that when the right one opens, you'll walk through it with sabr, tawakkul, and clarity. So for now, be still, breathe, and let the silence remind you Allah hasn't forgotten you. He's just building something that words cannot explain. One day, when everything makes sense, you look back at this silence and say, that was the moment I was closest to my Lord. Because sometimes the most beautiful part of your story is the chapter no one saw. The one you cried through alone, the one you questioned, the one you survived. And it all began in silence. Your story mirrors the Prophet's trials. You keep wondering why your life feels so difficult, why things don't come easy, why you're always tested with what you love, why it feels like your heart gets torn apart just when you start to feel whole again. And sometimes you sit in silence and whisper, Ya Allah, I'm trying, but why does it hurt so much to be this close to you? But my dear brother, my dear sister, you are not the first to feel this way. You are not the only one to walk a painful path with a heart that's still sincere. Do you know who walked that path before you? The ones Allah loved the most. The prophets, the most chosen, the most elevated, the most beloved souls to ever live on this earth. They too were tested with silence, with heartbreak, with betrayal, with long delays, with pain so deep, only Allah knew how much it cost them to keep going. And that's not a coincidence. That's a pattern of love, a pattern of preparation. Because when Allah chooses a soul for something great, He walks them through something painful, not to punish them, but to strengthen them gently, silently, perfectly. Yusuf alayhi salam, what was his story made of? A well, a betrayal, false accusations, loneliness in prison, years of waiting, not 1 year, not two, but so many that a child became a man in darkness. And yet Allah was with him, planning, preparing, honoring him in the exact same places. He once cried alone. That story is not ancient. It's timeless, because you too may feel like you're in a well right now, abandoned, forgotten, thrown away by those you trusted. But maybe, like Yusuf, your well is not the end. It's the beginning of a rise you can't yet see. Now, think of Musa alayhi salam. He was born in fear, raised by the enemy, ran away alone, stuttered when he spoke, felt unqualified, unsure, overwhelmed. And yet Allah still chose him, still spoke directly to him. It still gave him strength through weakness. He wasn't perfect, but he was protected. And you don't have to be perfect either. You just have to be patient, because your weakness doesn't cancel your worth. Your fear doesn't erase your faith. Your brokenness doesn't block your blessings. It's the same path the prophets walked, and now it's your turn. Not because you're being punished, but because your soul is being pulled into a story that mirrors the greatest lives ever lived. And what about Ayyub alayhi salam? He lost his health, his wealth, his family, his comfort, his strength. And what did he say? Rabbi inni massani ad-durru wa anta arhamur rahimin. My Lord, harm has touched me, and you are the most merciful of those who show mercy. He didn't blame Allah. He didn't say, why me? He just whispered, Ya Rab, you're still the most merciful. And that whisper, that patience, that surrender, it was enough. It was more than enough. It was everything, because Allah restored what he lost and gave him more than he could ever imagine. So if you've lost things recently, if you're feeling like life is empty and you don't even recognize yourself anymore, maybe that's because Allah's preparing a restoration so beautiful, you'll forget the pain that once broke you. But not all at once. First, He must soften you, empty you, silence you, the same way He did with those He loved most. And don't forget Maryam alayhi salam, carrying a miracle, but still facing judgment, still walking alone, still wishing for an escape. Even miracles can come with moments of loneliness. Even those closest to Allah have moments of, Ya Allah, please make it stop. And so will you. And that's okay. You are not broken because you cry. You are not faithless because you question. You are not weak because you fall apart sometimes. You are simply walking the same road the prophets once walked. And there is honor in that. There is beauty in that. There is closeness to Allah in that. This pain you're feeling, this chapter you're barely surviving, it's not meaningless. It's proof. Proof that Allah is preparing you. Proof that your story is being written by the same pen that wrote the greatest lives we've ever known. So keep going, even if it's slow, even if it's heavy, even if it hurts. Because the one who keeps walking will one day look back and say, this chapter wasn't just my breaking, it was my becoming. Your tears are a sign of Allah's plan. You're crying again, aren't you? Quietly, in a place no one sees, at a time no one hears, with a heart that's tired of explaining, and you're wondering, what's the point of these tears? Why do I cry so often? Why does it keep hurting even when I try to stay strong? You wipe your cheeks quickly so no one notices. You turn your face so they don't see what you're holding in. You force a smile even when your chest feels too heavy to breathe. And deep inside, you wonder if Allah sees it too. If He notices what's behind those tired eyes. If He understands the weight behind each tear that falls. But He does. He always has. My dear brother, my precious sister, your tears are not weakness. They are not signs of failure. They are not proofs that your faith is broken. They are a language of the soul, a language that Allah understands. Even when you can't put your pain into words, when no one else knows what to say to you, Allah listens to your silence. When you don't know what to ask for anymore, Allah reads your tears like a dua. Every drop is recorded. Every sob is witnessed. Every moment you feel overwhelmed is counted by the one who promised never to burden a soul more than it can bear. You think you're just crying, but you're actually being seen in a way the world cannot see you. Do you know what it means? To be seen by Allah, it means your heart matters. It means your pain is not ignored. It means your sadness is sacred. It means your story is being rewritten in ways you cannot yet imagine. Because sometimes the tears you cry today are the very rain that softens the soil. For the garden, Allah is growing tomorrow. And gardens don't bloom overnight. They need time. They need darkness. They need deep roots. And they need watering. Sometimes through the tears you thought were pointless. But nothing is pointless in the hands of Allah. Not even your crying at 2 a.m. You feel alone while crying. But maybe at that very moment, the angels are surrounding you, making dua on your behalf. While Allah says, send my mercy to the servant who still calls on me through tears. What kind of strength does it take to keep praying while you're in pain? What kind of love is this? To still say Alhamdulillah. While your voice is shaking, that strength is not human. It's divine. It's proof that even when your world feels like it's collapsing, your soul still knows where to turn. And Allah loves that. Allah loves the one who remembers Him even while their heart is hurting. The one who doesn't stop making dua, even after years of no answers. The one who still shows up in salah, even when everything inside them feels broken. You think your tears mean you're falling apart, but maybe they're the sign that you're falling into exactly what Allah wrote for you. There are tears that come from despair, but then there are tears that come from deep trust, from surrender, from whispering, Ya Allah, I don't understand, but I still believe you have a plan. And those tears, they are not signs of sadness. They are signs of spiritual power. They come from a soul that still believes in the light even while walking through the dark. They come from someone who still bows in sujood even when the weight on their back feels unbearable. They come from someone who is being prepared for something that cannot be built in comfort. Because what Allah is writing for you is not ordinary. It's special. It's eternal. It's worth crying for. You don't know yet what those tears are protecting you from. You don't know what storms they're pushing away. You don't know what kind of rise they're softening your heart to receive. But Allah knows. And maybe that's all you need to know tonight. Let your tears fall. Let them carry what your heart is too tired to hold. Let them wash away what your tongue cannot explain. And as they fall, know this. You're not breaking. You're blooming. And every drop is watering the future. Allah already prepared for you. So don't stop crying to Him. Even if the world calls it weakness, He calls it worship. Even if they don't understand your pain, He is the one who designed your heart and knows exactly how to heal it. Even if the relief doesn't come today, it's already written to arrive at the perfect moment. The tears of the prophets were never signs of failure. They were signs of closeness, signs of being chosen, signs of being trusted with a deeper journey. And now, your tears are joining that same legacy. What an honor to have a heart soft enough to still cry, to still feel, to still call upon the most merciful, even when life gives you every reason to give up. Don't give up. Allah is not ignoring your tears. He's collecting them. He's transforming them. And He's going to use them to build a chapter in your life so powerful. You'll say later, every tear was worth it. Your solitude is Allah's sanctuary. You're sitting in silence again. No messages, no calls, no one asking, how are you really? You scroll through your phone, hoping for a distraction, but everything you see makes you feel even more alone, more disconnected, more distant from everything and everyone. Even when you're in a room full of people, you feel invisible, present in body, but not in spirit. And deep inside, you whisper something you're too afraid to say out loud. Ya Allah, why am I so alone? Why does everyone else seem surrounded while you are left behind? Why do your connections fade so quickly? Why do your friendships feel distant? Why does your heart feel empty, even when you try to fill it? But my dear brother, my dear sister, what if this loneliness was never meant to hurt you? What if your solitude was never a rejection from the world, but an invitation from Allah? You see, sometimes when Allah wants to speak to you, He silences everything else. He removes the noise. He pauses the conversations. He pulls you away from the people you used to run to, so that when the pain comes, there's only one place left for your heart to turn, and that place is Him. Your solitude is not a punishment. It's a sanctuary, a secret space where your soul can finally rest without performing, without explaining, without pretending. In solitude, you don't have to wear the mask. You don't have to be strong for others. You don't have to hide how heavy it feels to just be you. Because in that quiet, you are finally safe to fall apart in the arms of your Creator. No judgment, no pressure, just love, just mercy, just stillness and healing. Sometimes the reason Allah isolates you is because He doesn't want your transformation to be interrupted by voices that don't know what He's doing behind the scenes. Not everyone deserves access to the version of you that's being born in the dark. Not everyone is allowed to witness what Allah is building in secret. So He hides you, not to erase you, but to protect what He's growing inside you. Think about it. Even seeds grow in darkness. Even the moon glows in silence. Even the prophets, the greatest of all people, walked alone for years before the world ever heard their names. You may feel unseen right now, but you are being preserved. Allah is not letting the world see you yet, because your story is still being written in sacred ink. You don't show someone the painting until the artist is finished. And right now, Allah is still painting your soul with colors only He understands. So don't rush out of your solitude. Don't try to fill the silence with noise. Don't try to run back to people just to escape the stillness. There is something in that stillness that you can't get anywhere else. There is a healing in solitude that even company cannot give you. Because when you're alone, you finally hear the voice of your heart. And when your heart is tired, Allah hears every beat like a dua. You think you're being left out, but you're being called in. You think no one sees you, but the one who never sleeps is watching over you day and night. You think your life is quiet right now, but behind that silence is an orchestra of mercy you haven't yet heard. Sometimes Allah delays the people to introduce you to His presence. Sometimes He closes every door so that your knees finally touch the ground. Sometimes He takes everything away so that you finally realize He was always enough. That kind of clarity, that kind of purity only comes in solitude. So the next time you find yourself sitting alone, wondering why it hurts so much to be unseen, shift the thought, whisper softly, Ya Allah, maybe you just wanted to spend time with me. And what an honor that is, to be called into sacred silence by the one who owns the skies, the earth, and every soul that's ever lived, to be handpicked for spiritual retreat with the most merciful. That is not rejection, that is preparation. Because one day, when the time is right, the silence will lift, the doors will open, the right people will enter. The world will see what Allah built while no one else was looking. But until then, sit in your solitude like it's a prayer, cry like it's a conversation, and rest in the knowledge that the one who pulled you away is the same one who's preparing your return. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are simply being protected while you heal. And when Allah brings you back into the world, you won't come back the same. You'll come back softer, wiser, stronger, calmer, more radiant. Because people don't shine from being seen, they shine from being refined in private. And right now, that's what's happening to you. So trust the silence. Trust the alone time. Trust the phase where no one claps for you. Because when Allah finishes the work, the world will see what they never expected. But you will know that it was built in solitude, in secret, in sanctuary, between you and the one who never let you go. Your patience is building your paradise. You're still waiting, still praying, is still hoping, still whispering, Ya Allah, when will this part of my life change? And some days, you're okay. Other days, it's hard, it's heavy. You feel the weight of unanswered du'as resting on your chest like a stone. You try to be patient. You try to say, Alhamdulillah. You try to smile even when your heart is tired of holding the same hope. But inside, only Allah knows how many times you've said, how much longer, Ya Rab? How many more nights must I cry before something shifts? How many more days must I walk around pretending I'm fine? You're not asking for much. Just ease, just clarity, just a sign that He still hears you. And maybe the longer it takes, the more you start to question, am I doing something wrong? Has Allah forgotten me? Is my patience even worth it? But let me tell you something you may not have heard in a long time. Allah sees every moment you choose patience, not the kind of patience the world praises. Loud, graceful, performative, but the quiet patience, the patience no one claps for, the patience that feels like standing still in a storm, just holding on to Ya Allah, I trust you, while everything else feels uncertain. That kind of patience is building something eternal. Every moment you stayed silent instead of complaining, every time you held back tears in front of others, but let them fall only to Allah, every time you said Alhamdulillah while your heart was breaking, every time you resisted questioning His plan, even when it made no sense to you, those moments are bricks, bricks in your Jannah, bricks in the home Allah is building for you beyond this life. A home where there is no pain, no waiting, no loss, no confusion. A home made from your sabr, a home made from your quiet strength. The Prophet ﷺ said, nothing is more beloved to Allah than a servant who remains patient in trial. That means right now in your silence, in your waiting, in your deep aching surrender, you are beloved to Him. Even if you don't feel strong, even if your faith is shaky some days, even if your patience looks like simply getting out of bed and saying, Ya Allah, guide me through today. That counts. It all counts. Because real patience isn't always pretty. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like tears. Sometimes it looks like not having answers, but still praying anyway. And sometimes it looks like sitting with pain and still saying, Alhamdulillah, I know you have a reason. That is not weakness. That is worship. That is strength. That is trust. That is love between you and your Lord so deep. The angels are writing it down. Even when you forget it happened. Every second of patience you hold on to is being witnessed, is being written, is being stored for a day when Allah will say, this is the reward for every moment you trusted me in silence. Think of the prophets. How long did Nuh alayhi salam wait? How many years did he remain patient, calling people who rejected him every day? 950 years. 950 years of patience. 950 years of trying. 950 years of heartbreak. And yet, he didn't stop. He didn't give up. And Allah elevated him, not in this world alone, but forever in the Quran. And you, maybe your test is not 950 years long, but your patience is still being honored the same way, because Allah sees quality, not quantity. A moment of true patience with full trust is more beloved to Him than a lifetime of ease. And think of the ones who came before you. They were patient through loneliness, through grief, through rejection, through hunger, through years of waiting. And now their names are written in the heavens as examples of divine trust. You too are being written into that legacy right now, in your tears, in your silence, in your effort to just keep going. This life will not always reward your patience. People won't always notice it, but Allah always does. He sees the way you hold back complaints. He sees the way you choose dua over despair. He sees the way you let go of control. Just to say, Ya Rabb, I trust what you see even when I don't. That is where paradise is being built. Not in what you receive, but in what you withstand. Not in what comes quickly, but in what you never stopped praying for, even after it stayed hidden. And when that reward finally comes in this world or the next, it will be so beautiful, so overwhelming, so divinely timed. You'll look back and say, if I knew what was coming, I would have waited longer. You stand before your Lord and He will say, I was with you the entire time. And you will say, my patience wasn't perfect, but I kept trying. I didn't let go. And He will say, that was enough. So tonight, if your heart is tired of waiting, if your hands are tired of holding on, if your eyes are tired of crying, let your soul rest in this one truth. Your patience is not being ignored. It's being multiplied. And your paradise is being shaped with every silent moment you trusted Allah more than your own understanding. Don't stop now. Don't let go. You are closer than you realize. And when your moment comes, You'll understand why the wait was part of the miracle. What Allah builds in silence cannot be shaken. You've been quiet for a long time now, not by choice, but because life pushed you into stillness. Pain cornered you into isolation. Confusion taught you how to be silent. When you didn't have the words anymore, you stopped explaining yourself. You stopped trying to be understood. You stopped expecting the world to notice how hard it is just to wake up some days. And in that silence, you've been rebuilding. Slowly, quietly, secretly. No celebration, no recognition, no one clapping, no one watching. But you keep showing up. You keep trying. You keep trusting. Even with a bruised heart. Even when it feels like nothing is changing. Even when you feel like you're holding your life together with invisible threads. And maybe the world doesn't see it. Maybe no one knows what it's costing you just to keep going. But Allah sees it. And not only does He see it, He is building with you, beside you, within you. Because what you're building isn't made from noise. It's made from nur, from His light, from His mercy, from His timing, from His protection. You think it's just you alone, surviving in silence. But what if I told you, this silence is sacred? This silence is the foundation of something that will not collapse. Something that no storm can shake. Something that no betrayal can destroy. Something that no person can take credit for. Because when Allah builds in silence, it lasts forever. He removes the noise. So the construction of your soul is not interrupted. He removes the crowd. So your foundation is not laid with the weight of their opinions. He removes what was loud. So He can place in you what is true. You thought the silence was empty, but it was full of purpose. Because if He let you rise too soon, you would have built on unstable ground. You would have risen in pride. You would have needed applause to feel worthy. But now, you are learning how to rise without being seen. You're learning how to heal without validation. You're learning how to rebuild from the inside out. And that is the kind of rise that no one can tear down. Allah is teaching you what it means to have peace that the world didn't give you. So the world can't take it away. He's teaching you to walk with a strength that doesn't need an audience. He's teaching you how to stand with a faith that doesn't collapse under pressure. And He's teaching you how to be still while He rewrites your entire story. You feel invisible, but invisibility is not insignificance. It is often protection, a cloak placed over you by the one who knows what your future holds. Because when the foundation is spiritual, the structure cannot be shaken. When the healing is divine, the scars become signs of beauty, not weakness. When the journey is silent, the destination is loud. So loud that even those who ignored you will stop and say, this was only possible through Allah. What's happening to you now is not a delay, it's design. It's not punishment, it's placement. It's not absence, it's attention. Allah is doing for you what you cannot yet see, so that when it's time for you to be seen, nothing can block what He has prepared. And when He unveils what's been growing in secret, you won't rise because you forced it. You'll rise because He decided it. You'll rise with peace, with dignity, with a calm heart and a clear mind, because you didn't rush the process. You didn't beg for attention. You didn't panic in the quiet. You simply trusted that the same Lord who made the night can turn it into the brightest dawn. Without a single sound, you trusted the silence. You trusted the slow healing. You trusted the lonely prayers. You trusted the empty spaces where only you and Allah existed. And in return, He is building a version of you that will not be shaken, not by people, not by loss, not by hardship, not by delay, not even by your own fears. Because the one building you knows exactly what you need to endure what's ahead. He is not building you for a moment. He's building you for meaning. He is not building you for performance. He's building you for permanence. He is not building you for this world alone. He's building you for Jannah. So tonight, if you're tired of the silence, if you feel like you've been rebuilding for too long, if you're wondering when the rise will come, let this be your reminder. What Allah builds in silence will echo for generations. It won't just change your life. It will change others through you. And they won't understand what it cost you to get here. They won't see the nights you cried, the prayers you whispered, the patience you held on to with shaking hands. But Allah saw every moment, and He is preparing a rise so powerful, so pure, so protected, that even the pieces of you that were once broken will bow down in gratitude for being chosen to rebuild. You are not just surviving the silence, you are being shaped by it. And what emerges from this silence will speak louder than anything words could ever say. Because what Allah builds in silence can never be shaken. My dear brother, my beloved sister, if you've been quietly breaking, holding pain no one sees, and waiting for a moment when things finally make sense, let this be your sign. You were never breaking without purpose. You were never crying without being seen. And you were never alone, not for a single moment. Allah was there. In every silent breakdown, in every delayed prayer, in every night you thought you wouldn't survive. And what He builds in silence will rise with a strength the world cannot shake. So hold on to your patience. Keep whispering your du'as. Keep walking, even if it's slow. Because very soon, the same people who saw you break will see you rise. And they won't understand how. But you will. You look up, smile through healed tears and say, this was only from Allah.